strive in life toward excellence, like you've been brought up as a child to do, then you're going to be able to go real far in life. And the advantage to going far in life isn't for material gain. It's to be able to open up doors for others. So back to you, Dave.
So, boy, a lot of great stuff. Like the Teddy Roosevelt one is, I think to me that talks to this notion of fear. So many people don't get started, don't move forward strictly for fear reasons. And I would say you have to get over that. Read Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Ring speech. If you've got fear, read it 30 times a day. Because what it basically says is, even if you give it all, that by itself, you'll feel great about. And if it doesn't work out, who the hell cares? Excuse my French, who cares? At least you're not with the people that never try anything. And so, get over the fear. Get started. And to me, I'm one that gets started relatively easily. For whatever reason, I've not been afraid of failing, thankfully, because I've got a lot of those things that haven't worked out. We've tried greatly and they didn't work out. So again, read things like that. And it's about fear. And I look back at it because I remembered coming upon this quote almost 20 years ago, maybe longer ago than that, 25 years ago, when I worked for a large company called Landmark Communications, and I worked in the quality area. I mean, I did sales and marketing stuff, but one of the kind of part-time roles I had was to oversee the continuous improvement practice of the company. And so continuous improvement is really from the Japanese manufacturing. It's called lean manufacturing, and it's a real method. It's statistically driven, how you improve processes and lower cost and improve quality. Well, anyway, it's the Deming method. If you want to read it, it's fascinating and it's really, really interesting. But anyways, it's all about continuous improvement, getting better and better and better in your processes. What's fascinating about that is, and I believe it, I believe that's how humans have to live their life. You have to just kind of keep slowly getting at it. It's these thousands and thousands of little steps as humans. So, Deming is one of the big thought leaders in business quality. I remembered and I went back and looked it up for this show, a quote from Aristotle. And Aristotle's quote, and again, this is from the Greeks a long time ago, it's quality is not an act. It is a habit. So quality is not an act. It's a habit. Means the only way you get to do something well is to make it a habit and to slowly and habits are hard to form. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes people can make habits really quickly. Some of them are really bad habits, but habits can form very quickly and they can be bad habits. But good habits can be learned as well. I'm watching my sons get better and better habits as they get older. And I'd like to think my habits have gotten better as I've gotten older. So anybody, listening to this, your habits can get better. And you just have to start small. But if those habits about, trying to spend a little bit more time on, I don't care, with your exercise, your job, your family, your habit of spending more time with your friends, whatever the habit is, if you can get that habit better, what it does is drive quality. And so quality just doesn't come out of the air. It really does come from discipline and some habit. And anybody can change their habits. I've seen people, as you have, Steve, who've remarkably changed their life. You've seen them in prison. I've seen a few of them in prison like you, but you've seen them regularly who had such bad behavior and such bad habits that they were incarcerated for decades. And now they're trying to figure out, because you're dealing with them, how do I change my habits and my behaviors so I have a better life, so I have a better quality life as it relates to people? So I guess my message there is, it really is never too late, and you have to start small. You can't worry about failure. You can't worry if it's the best approach or the worst approach. The trick is just to get started, put that first step ahead of the other. And there's no way 8 years ago you thought you would be where you are with Right Thinking Foundation. You just got started. now 500 visits into prisons later, people that are supporting you, 170 shows, radio shows, books that are published. I mean, it's unbelievable. Relationships you've built with guys like, Don Green, those started by first steps. There's nothing magical about you. The magic about you is that you got started and you care. And that formula can work for anybody. It really can. You just got to find the influences around you who also believe the same thing that I'm just saying, or Steve, that you say and others say, and try to surround yourself with people who will support you in getting started. And when you fail, they don't point out your failures. They say, okay, that didn't work. Let's pick ourselves up and get on again. We'll figure it. We'll do it better the next time. So I'll stop there.
Wow. So everything you said has about 6 different themes that I could branch out on, but surrounding yourself with people that care about you and doing well for them in exchange, that's a great principle. But look, I've got 170 shows, give or take. I think this is 167. But listen to this. I told everybody that you were right there for me in the beginning, trying to help me along. And I'm saying to everybody, I think the greatest secret to success is being the kind of person that other people want to help along. And you don't just have people want to help you unless there's something about you that they recognize that they can be instrumental in getting you to a higher level, because they're just trying to groom you so you can pass it on to other people as well. I think that's a fundamental in life is that, that's what the gospel is. And I mean, that's what the whole gospel is for each of us to just pass it on to someone else so that they can pass it on to someone else. But listen to this, episode 5, these are just the titles of your shows, David. I want everybody to know these. Episode 5, Staying Connected. Episode 9, Your First Job and Pathways to Success. Episode 14, A Call to Action, Motivation and Challenge. Episode 20, Quality First, putting it into everything you do. Episode 24, Choices, Choose to Take Charge of Your Life. Episode 28, Commit to Your Success. Episode 40, Desiderata, A Positive Model to Live By. Episode 43, Living a Life of Excellence. Episode 51, the National Online Support Network. Episode 61, the Connect Platform. In episode 133, why did the dog wag its tail? Now, I want to come back to that one because you thought that was kind of clever. So I asked you the question on the air, why did the dog wag its tail? And do you remember what you said? It was pretty good. Do you remember what you might have said?
I remember several quips, but I don't want to. You go.
I think your answer was because
it can.
Because it can. And I said, well, that's the conventional answer, and I was going to challenge you on that because you're such a conventional straight line thinker, Dave. Yeah, wrong. No, I said because he can't get anybody else to do it for him. And then I use this in prison sometime, I launch into taking responsibility. If you go around life expecting somebody else to always do it for you, you're never going to get very far. And so I think we've covered that a bit. Now, Dave, I want to share this because I read a little book that I dug up out of my files today on leadership. Nice little series, Leadership with a Human Touch. It's some publication that I happen to have on my shelf. Benjamin Franklin's method of persuading others to his point of view took patience and endurance. It assumed that people are won over slowly, often indirectly. If you don't win the bargain today, Franklin would say, go after it again tomorrow and the next day. Here are some of Franklin's bargaining tips. 1, be clear in your own mind about exactly what you're after. 2, do your homework so that you are fully prepared to discuss every aspect and respond to every question and comment. 3, be persistent. Don't expect to win the first time. Your first job is just to start the other person thinking. 4, make friends with the person with whom you are bargaining. Put your bargain in terms of his or her needs, advantages, and benefits. 5, keep your sense of humor. Well, Dave, everything that I read in all those 12 or so shows that you've been on, that's all that's in all those shows is you are definitely, Benjamin Franklin would be proud to know that he influenced young Dave Richards as much as he did.
That's funny. So for those listening, if you haven't Franklin was this guy from a long time ago. It really wasn't that long ago. It's 250 years. So that's like 4 lifetimes of Steve and me. So 4 lifetimes ago, Franklin was around. I mean, that's not that long ago. But anyway, I point out Franklin because to me, at least in my mind, maybe there were somewhat greater, more influential Americans like Lincoln and Washington. But in terms of just broad capability and impact and wisdom, Franklin, to me, it stands, beyond all those. He was an incredible businessman. With Steve, what you just read, those are words right out of every business school's leadership lessons of how to treat people. So he was an incredible business guy. Perhaps one of the top 2 or 3 scientists of the entire 1700s. I mean, literally, with his electricity. And then you go into all of the impact from firehouses to libraries and then into all of the political things that he did with the Constitution and everything else. So the point is, if you boil back this incredibly successful man and look at his lessons, they're really simple. They are not that complex. And so you just kind of figure out how to get started. On the job thing, I'm rambling a little bit, but it really isn't that hard to get ahead in a job. Showing up on time is like 95% of the battle to begin with. Kind of doing what you're told, being a nice person, letting things roll off you, understanding that everyone's fighting their own battles. So if a coworker says something inappropriate, let it pass. It's not a big deal. And you'll do just fine. And if you really want to get ahead, and maybe this is a shortness or a weakness in you and me, Steve, and I mean this, those people that really get ahead somehow take a perverse pleasure in doing the worst jobs. So if someone said, and almost a boss come in and say, well, who will volunteer for this terrible job? I'd wait half a second and then say, well, I'll do it. Because for some odd reason, I really don't mind doing it. If everyone else won't do it, I'm willing to do it. And now maybe that's a weakness of my character because maybe that means I just want to be liked. Maybe I just want to be liked by the boss. Who the heck knows? But for some reason, I just find those as opportunities. I just see them as, if you happen to be working in a restaurant and someone cancels out on a shift and it's, 6:00 on Super Bowl, day, and the boss needs help, 90% of the people going, there's no way I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to the party. There's 10% of the people go, I'll watch the Super Bowl on replay. I'll go in. Somehow that'll help me. I'm helping my boss out in a tight fit. I can always read about it, the Super Bowl in the paper the next day. Those types of things, helping people out in a pinch, are the single best way to get ahead. And doing things that others just won't do. I mean, maybe that sounds so obvious, but it's amazing how few people will do that. And bosses just completely respect it. They really do. And as a boss, those people who will do that for me, I go, I remember that. I remember that when it comes time for promotions or pay raises or just, quite frankly, giving them a good recommendation when they move on to the next job. Because I want people that do a good job for me. I want them to be successful. And I like forwarding them to other people. So
I think a huge part of what you're just saying, it's all about the work ethic. And now my son Andrew is going to be on a show in a couple of weeks, and I've got some notes already for that, but I'll just share this ahead of time just because I'm so proud of it. The name of his show is going to be Applied Passion, the Key to Success. And I wrote the little blurb on it, and it says Applied Passion, Key to Success with guest Andrew Copeland. Everybody tune into that in a couple episodes. Tune in to hear Steve and Andrew, a successful young entrepreneur, talk about how combining hard work with your passion will lead you to success. And then this is right up your alley, Dave, because your whole career, the last 25 years, is based on connecting things together. Success is defined by the strength of the community you build around yourself. So something of you through me is wearing off on my son, Andrew, because he's got that. Now, I'd like to do something really special here. This whole series has had very little humor in it that I generally have always done. And I've had guests on continuously every show since episode 159. And so I've been real straight with everybody.